This is a walk around of the AC-130A Spectre Gunship called Ghost Rider. This airplane within the 16th SOS at Ubon Air Base in Thailand during the Vietnam War. This aircraft was known as Ghost Rider. This is the original nose arc, a copy of the original nose arc. This radome on the side here was called the Black Crow, and that flat board with the holes in it, that's an air deflector. This Black Crow could lock in on the truck's and vehicle's ignition system, and they could use that to fire the guns at. They could lock it in. The crew door normally was not on the airplane when it was flown in combat. It was simply jettisoned by pulling the jettison handle. These are the two 20mm Gatling guns. They fired at 2,500 rounds a minute. These two guns were 7.62 by 51 miniguns. They fired at either 3,000 rounds a minute or could be selected to fire at 6,000 rounds a minute from a panel on the flight engineer's overhead. Underneath here was where a FLIR ball was attached. That's forward-looking infrared, and they could lock that onto the heat of the target, be it trucks or people or bad guys in general. This is the GTC. This is a gas turbine compressor. This gave the aircraft electrical power and pneumatic power while it was sitting on the ground, so it could start engines and power the systems. It had four T56A-9 turboprop engines with 3 bladed props, about 3,750 horsepower each. These tanks on the wings are 450-gallon external fuel tanks. Normally they didn't fly with these fuel tanks on the aircraft during the Vietnam War. They had jammer pods and flare and chaff dispensers mounted on the pylons. We'll go in for a little closer look. This airplane was modified to the Pave Pronto specs, and it was also called Surprise Package. The reason it was called Surprise Package was because they had deleted the two aft 20mm Gatling guns and replaced them with two 40mm cannons, Bofors cannons. This radome on the back, this was used to pick up the seismic sensors that were dropped. They could tell if anybody was moving on the Ho Chi Minh Trail or any troop movements. This cover is right next to what was an illumination device. It originally was a 1 kW light that could be used either in infrared mode or in white light mode. It was later uprated to a much larger light that would actually burn you severely if you walked in front of it. This is the ramp and door area on the C-130. Normally they flew with the door in up position, which is this portion of it, and the scanner would lay on the ramp with his head hanging over the edge, and he was looking down for ground fire and ground threats, which he would call out to the pilot. He was connected by a tether so he wouldn't fall out. I'm told that the scanners, they carried a continuous head cold from flying with their head hanging down here. At the time of its retirement, this gunship had more combat hours than any gunship in the inventory. This hatch would normally be open during flight, and it has a seat inside, and a scanner would sit there, and he would scan out this side of the aircraft for threats and call these out to the pilot also. Airplane's got 4 20-120 size tires on them, and they can land on unprepared airfields, dirt strips. They can get in and out of normally about a 3,000-foot strip. The gunships were heavier, and they didn't land them on dirt strips. This is one of the earlier C-130s, so it has side opening doors. I think from about the 18th aircraft owned, they changed this so that the doors open fore and aft. This airplane belongs to the Air Force Museum. It's on loan to the Marietta Museum of Aviation. And the volunteers at the Marietta Museum of Aviation moved this aircraft from Dobbins Air Force Base by taking the wings and the engines off, towing it over here, putting it all back together, preparing it for paint, and painting it, and putting it on display. And this is the walk around of Ghost Rider. This is also the namesake of the new Ghost Rider series C-130J gunships that are being built. There'll be 37 new ones built in the same factory about a half a mile away from where this gunship started in 1954.